So you have such a unique perspective, of course, on how AI is shaping companies. And there's a great piece in the Wall Street Journal coming out of their Leadership Institute. I understand that you attended as well, but it seems like the consensus is that, okay, AI is fueling change faster than anything we've experienced before, but how exactly companies handle that is not as clear. So I wonder, in the chairs that you occupy, what do those conversations sound like?
Well, you can count on the fact that AI is a topic at every single board meeting. It's been about 3 years since ChatGPT arrived on the scene, and I think the last 3 years have been a lot of experimentation at most companies. BCG just put out a recent survey that said 5% of companies are actually seeing the impact of AI in their P&L. And yet well over 65% of companies are reporting AI initiatives. So I do believe 2026 is going to be a year where it's going to materialize in companies' P&L, both on the cost and efficiency side, as well as on the revenue growth. A few factors companies are really working through. One is how to upskill and really completely retrain their workforce on the utilization of AI. And you will see a dispersion of companies doing that really well, where all of their employees are utilizing the tools and getting more comfortable, and those that are perhaps lagging behind. So training and change management are number one. And then the second is really this move from, do you have an AI strategy, which was kind of the buzz question for the last 3 years, to what is your strategy in an AI world? Because everything should change. Every single function, every workflow needs to be reimagined. Business moats and competition will change. So it's a very important and key topic in boardrooms.
Yeah, and those are two very different questions, too. So getting answers to that has to be interesting. But you touched on this a little bit. But when it comes to the P&L, how this is actually impacting companies, something I wonder about all the time is whether we're just talking about productivity, whether we're talking about cost savings chiefly, or whether we're talking about actually reaching new customers or unlocking, new lines of business.
Well, I think those are the two vectors. You're exactly right. So we are, and every company should be looking at how to make everything more efficient, either with less people or to be able to produce more. But the more exciting opportunity for AI is actually generating new revenue streams and reaching new consumers. And there's been incredible progress with AI in marketing. So companies like Coca-Cola are reimagining their entire workflow in marketing, which will allow them to get much more targeted in terms of the right messages to the right consumers. We've been talking about that my entire career in digital.
Are those marketing campaigns going to resonate the same way? I know there's been a lot of, everyone's seen these Coca-Cola ads, and there's a new ad, I think, with Ford, a car company, that also use all AI. And I am just curious, is there a sense that that is going to resonate with customers in the same way that filming that with humans, particularly for Coca-Cola, which always has, particularly around the holidays, kind of these real touchy-feely, make you feel warm in your belly kind of ads?
Oh, it's a great question. So with Coca-Cola, I would say Disney is the exact same way. This is about human involvement really being enhanced with AI. It's not AI replacing humans. So there were humans extremely involved in that Coca-Cola holiday campaign. As a matter of fact, the song is being sung by real humans. So even though a lot was done from an image standpoint utilizing AI and translation into different languages to make it appropriate for geographies, the human element is critical. I would argue that actual humans and how they're going to touch all of these campaigns will be more important than ever before, because brands need to resonate more than they've ever before. Consumers used to be able to now search and scroll through a doomsday list of blue links in order to find either a company, a product, or service they were looking for. Now, instead of search and scroll, it's ask and get. And 20% of purchase decisions in LLMs are being driven by LLMs, I should say. That means brands need to be discovered in LLMs, which means the human element and the emotional resonance of brands is going to be more important than ever.
There is a broader issue here, too, about the idea of replacing humans, whether it's in ads or movies, but also just in terms of employees. You talk about living in an AI world. Senator Mark Warner from Virginia made some comments yesterday, this idea that he wants some of these companies to take whatever they're saving from AI and reinvest some of that in job training, with the idea that there will be a lot of workers displaced as AI technology does broaden out to pretty much every facet of our lives.
So I think the way most companies that I'm involved in are thinking about this is, how do we utilize AI to take out the monotonous tasks, the tasks that really really don't need to eventually be done by humans because they would be better served by AI agents. But that should free up the talent to do things that are much more value accretive to companies, that are much more creative. And is in many cases, actually, there's a talent war for new talent coming into companies that have what I would call AI native or AI real skills coming in. And I know I've seen the data that, for younger people coming out of college, the job market has been very, very difficult. And I think we're in this little bit of a bridge because the next generation coming in, give it a few more years, they have grown up with these tools just the way the prior generation, my daughters are 23, they grew up in a mobile environment. This next generation is going to grow up with AI skills. And so I tend to be an optimist. Our history in humanity has been that we have found new opportunities for people, new jobs, new creation of companies, new opportunities in terms of leveraging new skill sets. And I really think AI is going to do that. So I am not on the pessimist, everyone's losing their job side of this.
It's important context, too. I mean, technology advances. It's the transition period that might be a little bit uncomfortable.
It's always a little bumpy during the transition period.
Absolutely. So we could spend hours talking about AI, but I want to talk about some of the other hot topics, and that leads me to tariffs. Of course, you sit on many boards, as we mentioned, really spanning industries as well. So I wonder, when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to supply chains, how is that affecting beverage? How is that affecting apparel? And how does that differ from, maybe an entertainment and film company?
Sure. So if you think about, I'll take supply chains and tariffs as sort of two but commingling topics. Supply chains were really tested during COVID, and many companies had to rethink either the dependence, too dependent on China, needed to diversify, bring things onshore. So a lot of the supply chain work is ongoing, but a lot has been improved since the COVID era. Tariffs have been a moving target for companies, and there has been a lot of scenario planning, which the boards review to understand what the impact of the tariffs could be. I think we are very hopeful in the companies that I represent that once the details of what the impact might be are understood by the White House, which has been, very open hearing from business leaders, which I think is a net positive. Once those cases are made about what the impact could be, particularly not just on companies that are based here in the U.S., but also on the end consumer, because the consumer can't absorb all of the additional costs from tariffs. Somebody needs to absorb them. So we are hopeful that some of the initial headlines, which may be shock to companies, a lot of that tends to calm down and find its way to be a more normalized rate.
Carolyn, I'm also curious, too. I mean, another big issue that boards are having to grapple with right now is the idea of succession planning. You sit on the board of Disney. There's been a lot of speculation about the replacement for Bob Iger. There was a story, you're not on the board of Apple, but there was a story the other day about planning for the successor to Tim Cook, who's been in that seat for a long time. What do those conversations look like?
So CEO succession is one of the most important jobs. In many cases, people would argue it's the most important job of a board of directors. And what I can say about it more broadly is you have to run an extremely thorough process. And this is my first time going through it at the Walt Disney Company, and I can assure you and everyone that the process is extremely thorough. It's been ongoing and very, very thorough, and our timing is early 2026, which we've told the market. But I think we have seen examples of some excellent succession planning. James Gorman, for example, led a tremendous succession at Morgan Stanley. He is our lead director at the Walt Disney Company. We just heard from Walmart, John Fernan stepping in, outstanding executive, and Doug has had a tremendous career there. So it can be done, and it can be done very, very well. But the boards need to take their role and responsibility extremely seriously, looking at a broad swath of candidates, internal and external.
And I know you can't speak directly to what's going on with Iger, but I am curious, overall, how much input does the existing CEO have in that transition planning?
This is the responsibility of the board for all the companies that I sit on. Of course, the CEOs that are in any of the companies that I serve on always have input in terms of specifically if it's of somebody on the management team or multiple people on the management team. But we do that in the course of talent planning. We don't just look for CEO successions. For example, I run the talent and compensation committee at the Coca-Cola Company, and we look at succession not just at the CEO level, at the executive leadership team, and we often go at least one click below. It's very important for boards to really meet numerous members of the management team and click one or two levels below to understand the up-and-coming talent.